So today I'm going to show you guys how to grid an image and a blank sheet of paper in order to accurately draw it. The grid method is a great way to maintain proportions, make sure everything is in the right place. It kind of creates a guide for you to follow as you redraw an image. So I have this lovely picture of an ostrich that I'm going to grid. So you need a ruler, your picture, you need your paper, and you need a pencil. I am using a Sharpie only so that you guys can see my lines more easily, but you will do this in pencil because there's a very good chance you'll be erasing and having to start over if anything gets messed up. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to line up my ruler with my picture. You do not want to line your ruler up with your edge of your paper. You want to do it to the edge of the picture. You're not including this white border in your drawing, so you do not want to include that in your grid drawing. This ruler, the edge of the ruler is part of my 1 inch mark. There are some rulers where there's a little bit of a space and then the 1 inch mark starts there. So you want to make sure that if you have a space and then your line starts, you want to line that first line up so that your drawing is accurate. So we're going to do a 1 inch by 1 inch grid. So I am lining up the edge of my ruler with the edge of the picture. I'm going to put a tick mark at every inch mark. And then the edge of the last one is right there, so you don't really need a tick mark. You're going to slide your ruler down. That might be a simple thing for you to do, but a lot of people want to pick up the ruler and turn it, or they want to turn their picture instead of sliding the ruler down. If you had an image that was 6.5 inches, so let me just put a mark here just to show you, and you turn your picture around and then line it up, then your 6.5 would end up here. So you would end up with a 1/2 inch mark here and a 1/2 inch mark here. So you'd have diagonal lines going across your picture. So you want to make sure when you finish making your marks, you slide your ruler straight down. Do not pick it up and turn it. Do not pick up your picture and turn it. Seems simple, but it is a mistake that is frequently made. So same thing, you're going to put tick marks down here. You are going to turn your picture now. You're allowed to turn your picture, and you're going to add tick marks to the side. All right, and you're sliding your ruler down. You are not picking it up, you are not turning it. So we'll make it as accurate as possible. And make sure when you put your lines down that you're actually hitting those 1 inch lines. So the 1 inch mark is next to that big number, and it's the longest line in the set of lines. So make sure you're not going a little bit one way or a little bit the other, because this is supposed to help accurately redraw your picture. If your grid is not accurate, your picture will not be accurate. So make sure you are lining your tick marks line up with those big lines and those big numbers. All right, so now that I have everything marked off, I'm going to line up my tick marks and I'm going to draw lines. And if you have a dark image, pencil actually shows it pretty well on a dark image because it kind of has that metallic look to it. But if you have a hard time seeing your image, another thing you could do is use a white colored pencil, and a white colored pencil will show up really well against a dark background. Okay. At this point, you're just using your ruler as a straight edge. And look at that. I screw up so that you guys don't have to. So I wasn't holding down my ruler very well when I did that last line. So it lines up here, but look at that huge space between my tick mark and my line. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to redraw that line. When you're using pencil, you can go back and erase the line and then redraw it. You want to make sure you hold your ruler really still and really in place. So I'm just going to go over that to emphasize that one. Remember, I'm screwing up so that you guys do not have to. All right, so now I have this grid drawing on my ostrich. So now it's time to grid my other sheet of paper. So my ostrich is 9 by 6, and so my sheet of paper is also 9 by 6. This example is for if you are drawing an image the exact same size. And I will show you how to enlarge your image too in the next step. So once again, I'm lining up my paper edge with my ruler. I'm putting tick marks on those long lines with those big numbers. You do all your tick marks first, and then you connect your lines together. No turning the ruler, no turning your image. You're sliding the ruler straight down to make sure that you are being as accurate as possible. Now, for those students who love to cut corners, the ruler is not an inch wide. I have had so many students who just trace the width of their ruler, and that is not accurate. We're drawing a 1 inch by 1 inch grid. You need to measure 1 inch by 1 inch, so don't just trace your ruler. And if you're tracing your ruler, odds are your lines are not straight. I am positive these lines are straight because I'm connecting the dots between equally measured sections on my paper. So, saying that now so you guys do not do that later. And remember, you're doing this in pencil. When you start your grid on your piece of paper that you are drawing on, you do not want to draw your grid dark. And the reason you don't want to do that is because you don't want to have a grid drawn over top your final drawing. You want to erase the grid at the end so that you can't see that tool that you used to draw it out. Because of that, you want to draw your lines really light so that you can go back and erase them later. And this time I'm holding my ruler down more securely. I'm making sure all these lines are lined up. And I will have a beautiful 1 inch by 1 inch grid. Now, what this does for you when you start drawing, when I start drawing this, would start drawing my lovely ostrich, its head and its neck first, and then I would start going into the detail of the background. So what you can do is you can say, okay, the ostrich intersects this box right here, the head right there. So I'm gonna go 1, 2, 3, there's gonna be a little line right here. So 1, 2, 3, I'm gonna start a little line here. 4, fourth box, we got another one, and then no more ostrich. So we're gonna hop down, 1, 2, 3. All right, look at where this intersects that box. It is just a teeny little section, maybe like a quarter of the box here, and then it connects to that line there. So I'm gonna start drawing that line there. So you just wanna count your boxes and make sure that you are drawing everything in the box. 1, 2, 3, 4. Look at how much of this one is filled up. You only have a little corner showing through where his beak is. So I can start forming my ostrich just by using these lines and seeing where the lines of the object intersect the lines of the grid. All right, so now, let's say you want to draw your picture bigger. I want to do my ostrich drawing twice the size of the original. So this is 6 by 9, this is 12 by 18. So what you do to do 2 times bigger is you draw your grid 2 times bigger. This is a 1 inch by 1 inch grid. This will be a 2 inch by 2 inch grid. So I'm going to mark every 2 inches. Okay, sliding my ruler down, I'm not picking it up or turning it. All right, now I can turn my paper because I'm done with the grid lines there. Sliding my ruler down. If you want to make your image 1.5 times bigger, that means your grid will be 1.5 inches by 1.5 inches. If you want to make your grid, your image 3 times bigger, you will make your boxes 3 inches by 3 inches. It's easy when you're starting with 1 inch by 1 inch. All right, so I'm gonna connect my lines. Hold my ruler down. And again, when you're drawing your grid on your sheet of paper that your drawing will be on, you want to draw your grid nice and light because you will erase it at the end. If you're doing a shaded drawing, you want to do a contour line drawing, which is just a basic outline first, erase your grid, and then start shading. If you start shading before you erase your grid, you're going to have to end up erasing sections of your drawing that are beautifully shaded and have to redo it. And pay attention as you draw your grid lines. You don't accidentally want to do one of these and have a crazy diagonal line. And make sure you're going to the tick mark right above you. You're doing it every 2 inches. All right, so the way you check to make sure you accurately drew your grid is you count your boxes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 boxes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So these are accurately drawn. And again, I will count my boxes over to see where my lines will start for my main object, and I will start drawing. Remember to erase your grid at the end before you start adding too much detail. And you are ready to start your first grid drawing. Good luck.